should we get into our main review for
Yes,
this
let's
week,
do it.
Janine? The Menu.
Yes.
Mark Mylod directed. Somebody who you'll recognise, who did a number of Game of Thrones episodes. This is what I recognise him from.
Yes, well, I saw
Anyway,
an executive producer credit for Will Ferrell.
yeah, I think it's
So
Adam McKay and Will
yeah.
Ferrell executive producing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is weird actually when you watch the movie.
Yeah.
But no, like we said before, this is one I'd seen the trailers for in a few things that I'd actually gone watching recently. Didn't really know about it coming out before seeing those, and this is the good thing about going to the cinema and watching the trailers, because
Trailers, yeah, you get to
you,
see.
you find things that you might actually look at and go, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting." And oh my god, was it really, really the most Morgan movie possible? Like, this is I don't even know if this is recency bias or not, but this is the most enjoyable, or this is one of the most enjoyable movies I have seen all year. Like, new
Yes.
movies.
No, I had a lot of fun with this. I was very much kind of nervous of what was gonna happen. Really kind of had these moments where my jaw was on the floor, like, "Oh my gosh." Um, the pacing of kind of the escalation of events was really well done. Um,
Really, really
really
perfect.
kind of equating the build of the night, with these courses, I thought was, like,
Yeah.
a very fun thing.
Structuring
Um,
it, structuring the
yes.
whole movie in courses. I mean, this movie is basically a group of people go to a really fancy restaurant on a remote island that's like ridiculously upper class.
Yes, and it's this very elevated dining experience.
Yes, and it's all very, very obsessive. I mean, there's sequences in this movie that are really quite mesmerizing to watch, like some of the cooking sequences when you're just
Yeah.
watching these really precise things happen. Um, Quite hypnotic at times, and with the way it's structured in these courses. Ray Fiennes is our kind of lead chef. He's the head chef. He's the lead, really, of the movie, isn't he? I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, who is just the most obsessive kind of, let's take all the fun out of cooking and just make it all about precision
Yeah. Well, I
chef
think,
possible.
he does kind of go into it later for himself, if we're gonna get into spoilers. So,
Yeah, I
um,
suppose so.
so yeah, he does kind of talk about how he hasn't really had that joy for cooking. It's all about kind of the technical aspect for him, and he hasn't had that desire to want to cook for somebody, out of pure happiness in a long time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of his running theme of the night, and we kind of talk about, at the beginning, it's up to you to kind of figure out what the overarching theme of the dinner is. And so then
Like,
we kind of get
also,
there by
why is
the
there an
end.
overarching theme of a meal? Just go for a meal. Just pay for a
Yes.
meal. I am very much Anya Taylor-Joy in this movie. That's just like, why can't I just pay for a meal? I want to eat. I don't want
Yes.
to
I
have to
don't need this
think
high
about it.
concept dinner. Um, for me, this film was actually giving me a lot of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory vibes. I mean, you have your kind of spoilers again. So we have our kind of group of people who all kind of turned out to be terrible people
Yeah.
going to this exclusive thing. Um, and you kind of have your eccentric kind of person leading the pack, and nobody really knows what's going on, and things seem fun, but then they do end up getting pretty dark. You have
Yes.
your Charlie character in kind of the end, so who kind
Yeah,
of
I guess.
strikes up an understanding with the eccentric kind of head of things. So very much giving me a Willy Wonka sensibility, but a very much darker toned aspect,
Very,
very
very
much
dark.
more adult, um,
I mean,
but also very funny and
very funny.
and campy in some ways, and satirical. So
Embraced its silliness
yes, so I
while
had a
while not while not having that silliness take over, while keeping a very
pretty dark
dark, very,
tone.
very kind of grim tone, really.
Yeah,
But really embracing its silliness, having little kind of side eye comments
yeah.
that people would make at each other just be really noticeably funny.
Yes.
But it really working. I thought the balance of it was absolutely nailed, and this is what I mean. This is just such an enjoyable time for me.
Yeah.
It speaks to the kind of movies I love. These kind of precisely structured movies. Like I said, it's structured in kind of first course, second course, amuse bouche, supplementary course, and all these things. And you get the
Yes.
text
And
graphic
you
on
yeah, you
screen,
get
you
the
get the
text graphic showing you
ingredients.
what it is. Yeah, Tyler's bullshit.
Tight,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Outstanding. That's one of the
Mhm.
courses.
Yeah.
And a pretty big kind of like plot point course, I suppose that, isn't it, as well?
Yes.
Um it's so they're really sometimes tongue in cheek as well, some of those kind of
Yeah.
things. Like with some of the descriptions that they give,
Yeah.
um, that do kind of leave you laughing, but you look one layer under and it's really, really nasty. It's really dark.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting movie about obsession, about the kind of, I suppose, falling out of love with your own passion. I suppose it's about
Yes. Reaching
insecurity. It's
yes,
about kind of
reaching the
yes,
height of kind of what you can do, but, does it even matter if people don't appreciate it, if you're not
yeah,
getting any joy out of it yourself? Um, and yeah, these people also kind of having to look at themselves
yeah.
and their kind of contribution to kind of taking somebody's great efforts for granted and,
Selfishness
yes.
is a massive
Mhm.
theme of this,
Yeah.
and I just love movies that are very. I know it sounds weird because the menu itself in the movie, the menu is obviously this high concept kind of thing that you just feel like if you actually went to anywhere that did something like this, you would be sat there going, "What's happening here? This is ridiculous."
Yes.
But the movie is actually quite high concept when
Yes.
you think about it, um, because of what it's actually kind of talking about, what it makes you kind of think about. How um how you are viewed, how you treat other people, how how a passion, how a career can seem on the surface kind of very, very desirable, but you realize that it couldn't be
It's
further
not
from.
yeah,
And
and,
there's
mhm.
sorry, go ahead. I'll end up
Oh,
waffling
no.
otherwise.
Go ahead.
No, no, no. Honestly, I've now forgotten what I was talking about.
No, and just really kind of trying to understand what is even happening in moments because the tone,
Yeah,
the shifts are kind of so fluid that you're laughing at one thing and then something crazy happens immediately after that. Even like some of the reactions people were having to some of the crazy things,
yeah,
like I'm like, why is this person not reacting to this in the way they should be. So like, you have your kind of characters who are really into the food and seeming to appreciate it
yeah,
and they're not having kind of the same crazy reactions as everyone else. So I'm like, is there something they're getting out of the food that's making them not really react
yeah. You
because
you don't know.
so you don't know kind of what is even happening because some people are really kind of in the moment and other ones are kind of freaking out and so you're getting all these different reactions and some of it's kind of funny so yeah like your
Yeah,
emotions are kind of going all over the place but the movie kind of keeps it very well balanced that you're able to kind of stay in it and really want to kind of delve deeper into like what is really going on here
it's
so
a real mystery. But
Yes, and the
if
tone shifts are so fluid and
they
fun.
are,
Yeah.
but if you think about when I say it's a very Morgan movie, think about the kind of movies that I like. We're on a remote island.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on an island. I don't necessarily know how remote it is. I think it's a
I mean, it
short
looks
ferry ride, isn't it,
yes,
really?
but
But
it looks pretty remote in terms of,
it
you
looks
know.
remote, but there's quite a cultish staff at this particular restaurant.
Yeah.
There's
Very
weird
devoted
things
to
going
their
on.
chef. Yeah.
It's you know, and it's remote. There's strange things going on. Think of, I mean, don't necessarily think of the Wicker Man, but you know, island cultish kind of situation where everybody's obsessed with one particular person and one particular idea. There's an element. There's an element. And look, you put Anya Taylor-Joy in there as well, which I just think this movie is just perfect for her.
Yeah.
Yes, she these are the kind of movies I love seeing her in. These are the kind of movies she should she is perfect in.
She's
These are the
perfect
kind
for
of
this
movies
role.
she
Yeah.
is made for.
Yeah.
Playing the kind of protagonist, really, the hero, I suppose, if you want to call her, that.
Yeah.
The good one in a world of bad.
Yeah.
But she's also kind of a bit grey herself.
Yeah. So
Um,
very much a Charlie.
a little bit, yes. But is Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, really grey? Charlie's
I
pretty
mean
wholesome.
I mean, he's pretty gray. I mean, he lied about the fizzy lifting
Oh, he did lie
drinks.
about the fizzy lifting drink, but it was Grandpa Joe's fault, wasn't it? Because he's the real villain.
Yes,
We
yes.
can't blame the 10-year-old, 11-year-old child for
I
something
mean,
that his
we are
95-year-old
Grandpa
grandpa
Joe
did.
haters here on this channel,
But we're
so
not, are we? Because we're Grandpa Joe lovers. We love Grandpa Joe.
we
We
love to
love to
hate Grandpa
hate.
Joe.
We do. We love to hate Grandpa Joe.
Oh, Jack Albertson.
You wonderful, wonderful
Terrible,
man.
terrible man.
Um, I don't suppose there's a Grandpa Joe alternative in this movie, is there? It's not strictly Willy Wonka,
No, no. There's
but
not really a Grandpa Joe.
it's such an interesting movie, such an enjoyable movie. The kind of movie that I really does hope, or I really do hope, gets excellent word of mouth. Because I
Yes, because
genuinely think this is one of my favorite movies of the year.
yes, I mean, I was really disappointed that my theater was so light because this movie was so unique and interesting. While it did have kind of similar familiar themes, it felt very wholly original, and you didn't
Very,
know
very
kind of where
original.
it was going to go. And in a sea of remakes and sequels and legacy sequels and all these
Yeah,
kinds of things that are just kind of regurgitations and readaptations of things, to get kind of a really cool, unique, very interesting in terms of tone typed film, is really refreshing. So
it is.
I really had a lot of fun with this movie, just kind of the ups and downs of it, the darkness and the comedic aspects and all the characters you're really kind of wanting to understand like what's going on with them and Ray
Yeah.
Fiennes is so great as well. Um
I mean, to be fair, it's perfect for Ray Fiennes, isn't he? I mean,
yes.
he's great at kind of dark eccentricity. You think
Yes,
of
and
Willy Wonka's kind of a little bit dark, but it's mainly whimsical. Ray Fiennes, there's no whimsy to Ray Fiennes. It's eccentric, but it's
it's
dark and
very
kind of
dark
glaring, and
yes, but he also conveys a bit of sympathy. Like
he does.
yes, he has a little bit of kind of like you see there maybe there's something more there. There's a bit of kindness there
Yes, I
somewhere.
do. I do
Yeah.
always think Ray Fiennes is very charismatic
Yes.
in his darkness because he does excel when he's playing darker characters.
Yeah.
I think. And I do think he's great in it. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is great in it. Nicholas Hoult, while he became deeply annoying in this movie, as a
He
character,
played
I
it
think he's
so well.
great.
So good. Maybe
John
he's the Grandpa
Leguizamo.
Joe.
Maybe he is John Leguizamo's here, who's kind of fun. He's a little bit of a comedic character, I suppose, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's
But
kind of
he's
doing it
always
up. I
fun.
mean, he's gonna be in that Santa movie, that Violent
Oh, he
Night,
is as well,
coming
isn't
up
he?
as
Yeah, of course
well.
he
So,
is.
yeah, it
Well done to Leguizamo. I like John Leguizamo.
was nice to see Judith Light. If you're a Who's the Boss
Yes.
fan, I feel like I haven't seen her in a little bit.
Yes, I did
So,
recognize. I don't think it was from that, but I did recognize her as somebody I recognized. She's kind of the food critic.
oh no,
Is
no,
it?
no,
Oh
she
no, the
was the
food critic.
wife.
Oh, the one.
Sh-
I
She
see.
was the wife of the man
The
who,
regulars, the
yes, the
regulars.
the regulars who
Yes.
come all the time.
I
Yeah.
recognized the food critic though. Who was she?
I know she looked familiar, but I couldn't think of what I've seen her in.
And then there's like three um kind of
Dude
techie
bros.
businessy dude bros, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
who are obsessed with money and like they get schooled. They that was quite funny, really.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the the tortilla scene is quite. I mean, it's horrible, but it's actually quite funny
Yeah.
in this movie. If you've
Yeah.
seen it, this scene where Ray Fiennes serves them all tacos
Yeah,
with the
Taco Tuesday, and
Taco
his little
Tuesdays.
story that he gives along with the
It's
Taco Tuesday,
really
it's great.
horrible.
Yeah.
It's really horrible. It's like is it the first instance of something really quite dark
Weird.
happening?
Yes, because he tells the story because he's like, "I call this course memory, and I'm going to tell you about a memory," and he, like, starts it really fun, like, "We had a memory of Tuesdays being taco night, Taco Tuesday," so he's, like, very much kind of giving that little whimsy fun, and people chuckle, and then he starts telling kind of this really dark story
Yeah,
that
about
goes
like
along
how
with
he
the
should have
meal.
killed his own father.
Yes.
It's. I should mention his mother is sat in the restaurant as well, like in the
The
corner,
whole
just
time.
getting hammered,
Yeah.
and that's all she does the entire movie because it's all
Yes.
kind of about his obsession with being perfect. He could never achieve that,
Yeah.
and this is the situation. It's a great conceptual movie. It's a great movie in execution.
Yes.
Performance wise, story wise, I think it's
So
really
interesting.
great.
Yes.
Visually is where I think it excels because I love I love the structure of it in terms of the way it's paced and all this business, but it's structured visually as well, where you get the coarse graphics coming on screen, you
Yes,
get the
yes.
zoom ins on the actual cooking itself.
And the food just looks really interesting and great as well, so I'm like, "Binging with Babish, please do
Oh
an
yeah,
episode on this movie. I wanna see
yeah,
you
that'd be an idea.
cook these meals and
Well, not
recreate
all
these
of them.
dishes."
Not all of them.
Well, not all of them.
Some of
Not
them are really horrific.
yes, yes.
It gets
But
very, it's half a horror movie. This let's
yeah,
call it what it is. It is
yes,
half a horror movie.
yes.
It does get very nasty at times, particularly in the course called The Mess, which I
Yes.
found really shocking. I'll be honest. Which yes, was my first sign of go. Oh, okay, I'm really into this.
Yes, I was getting nervous because I kind of had the sense of where this was going. Um,
I see. Okay.
yeah.
No, I such a big fan of this movie. Please go and watch this movie if you
Go
hadn't.
watch the menu.
If
It's
you, yeah, if you had no
yeah.
intention of watching it, have an intention of watching it, please,
Yes.
because this is honestly one of my favorite movies of the year
Yes.
in terms of just pure enjoyment and quality. I honestly think
Yes.
it's a
It's really well
brilliantly
made.
made
It's
movie.
fun, great performances. Just this kind of great dark comedy. Go
Yeah,
please go watch it. Yeah.
an original. Support these
Mhm.
original weird movies
Yes. Yes,
like
please
this.
do.
We need more mid-budget movies like this
Yes.
because they're often great
Yes.
when they're original. Yes, the menu. What's on the menu is a lot of weirdness. That's my
Yes.
sign today, by the way. There you go.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful movie. I know that review.